Hello, it's Dispeller, and I have a interesting video for you today on narcissistic entitlement. Remember my other one the other day on grandiosity or grandiose thinking? This is on narcissistic entitlement, which is another type of trait of narcissistic personality disorder. And it's quite lengthy, amazingly lengthy. I did not realize there was that much about entitlement to talk about. And I did the research, so I got some really good notes I'll be looking on. So if you don't see me answer your question right away, sit tight. I'll make sure I look at the chat and get to you. I'm not going to be looking at the chat a whole lot while I'm talking. Because I want to get the message out. I want to put the information out there. So if any of you are dealing with a narcissist in your life, maybe you're married to one, dating one, a friend, a former friend, whatever, you can learn this so that you will know what you're dealing with. Now, one thing I am not doing, and I think I say that actually in my notes, is I am not going to tell you how to deal with them. And the reason for that is there are narcissists all over YouTube, and they watch my channel. I know this for a fact because back when I was a life coach, I happened to run into several of them. It was not a pleasant experience, let me tell you. It came in the form of them letting me know that they felt they were being abused and that their spouse or their partner was a narcissist. And when I got to know the person better, found out it was the other way around. So I know for a fact that narcissists watch my videos, and if I tell you how to cope with them, they will basically take what I'm teaching and they will use it to their advantage to manipulate you. So no, I'm not going to be talking about that. What I am going to be talking about is the narcissistic sense of entitlement, what that looks like, how that operates, etc. So let's get on with it. I was waiting for a few more people to get in the room, but it really doesn't matter because I was originally going to make this a live stream. And since there aren't people here enough to wait for, I will just continue to, I was going to originally make this an upload, not a live stream. I correct myself there. Since there's not a bunch of people in the room, it doesn't really matter. I'll just pretend I'm doing an upload and all will be well. All right. As always, by the way, if you like any of my videos, you like my channel, you find it interesting, maybe thought-provoking, whatever, hit the little like button, the little thumb up, and hit the bell so you don't miss any future videos, and so that you and also subscribe so that you can become an important member of our wonderful community here on the Dispeller channel. Thank you. All right, here we go. Entitlement. What the heck is it? It is a belief that one deserves something simply because they exist or because they have convinced themselves or others that they are superior. Often this comes in the form of demands along with the shock that those demands are not being met by others. The example, I'm going to be giving you some examples from my real life so that you'll know that I know what I'm talking about. My ex-husband, I've talked about him before. He doesn't care that I'm talking about him. His only concern is that I'm making money to pay my house payment at this point. He doesn't care how I do it. He doesn't care if I throw him under the bus. It's whatever. And this isn't throwing him under the bus. This is literally what happened. We used to go and take the children to craft shows. Like my husband at the time would cut out different figurines, etc., usually like Disney characters or Marvel characters or whatever. And then I would paint them. We would make napkin holders. We would make plaques, whatever you have. And we were actually going, I don't know if we were going home from a craft show or going to, so whatever, we were traveling somewhere in the vicinity or the moment of doing a craft show together. The kids were little, somewhat little. And my husband at the time decided to speed. And we probably were going to it then. If he was speeding to get to it, yes. So he's speeding in the car and I'm like, Roland, slow down, slow down. I don't have to. I'm like, well, you're going to end up either hurting somebody, getting a ticket or whatever. The craft show's not going anywhere. We'll get there. I don't have to listen to you. I'm going to do whatever. I'm not hurting anybody. Just be quiet and let me do what I'm doing type of attitude. So lo and behold, the police officer pulls us over and he gives him a speeding ticket. And he tells him, sir, you're going this much speed in a blah, blah, blah speed zone. Are you aware of that? No, sir. No, I didn't know. Okay. So a lie, obviously. Narcissists will do anything other than take responsibility for their actions. Literally anything. They will lie. They will recreate reality. They will make excuses. They will justify whatever. And I saw this a lot in my marriage. So this was nothing new. So, okay, he takes the ticket from the officer. He's like, sir, I'm not giving you like the full extent of what the ticket could be. Be glad, basically don't be doing it again. Make sure you're paying attention to the speed limit. Got it, sir? Yes. Okay. Yes, sir. Yes, officer. One thing again about narcissists is if they perceive someone has power or authority and they have been taught to respect that authority, they will backpedal. They will trip over themselves to make sure they are submitting to that authority. I guarantee it. At least in my case, they did. So anyhow, the police officer leaves. And my ex-husband turns to me and says, can you believe that? I said, can I believe what? He gave me a ticket. Duh, you were speeding. What do you mean? He gave me a ticket, though. I mean, that's what I'm saying. Can you believe he gave me a ticket? I said, yeah, Roland, I can believe it. You were speeding. Man, I just can't believe that. And then he drove to wherever we were going, to the craft show or whatever. And I was just sitting there shaking my head going, are you for real right now? You did not think you were going to get a ticket for speeding. What are you, above the law? Well, yeah, that's the entitlement. That's what the narcissists believe, that they're above the law. They don't have to follow the laws. They can kind of just skirt around it. Like another thing he used to do a lot is we were on welfare for a while for various reasons at different times in our marriage. And he would take jobs under the table. Not that he needed to, not that we were desperate. We were getting enough money to survive on, but he wanted that little bit of extra that he felt he was entitled to. And his justification of that was, I work for a living. I pay into the system. I get what's coming to me. It's mine. I'm going to use it. So yeah, my kids kind of developed a sense of entitlement, and some of them ran with it and others just were like, no, that's not right. God would frown on that. I don't feel right as a viable citizen doing that and cheating the system. I mean, that is against welfare's laws and rules. The DHS system frowns on you taking jobs under the table and not reporting them. So yeah, people had accused me of doing that and not reporting it. I'm calling the BS card on that because I wouldn't. But yeah, my ex-husband used to do that quite regularly, take jobs and not let them know about it. And he used to tell me when I would get on the phone with them, only tell them as much as they ask. Don't tell them anything they don't need to know. In other words, AKA lie to them. Withhold the truth. Don't tell them everything. Just tell them enough to get us by so we can keep getting what we're entitled to. That used to tick me off so bad. It ticks me off even talking about it. I hated that because I am not a deceiver and I'm not a deceptive person and I hate lying. All right, let's get on to something else because I'm already getting hot under the collar on that one. So narcissists that are entitled do not know the difference between what they want and what they genuinely need. If it's a need, okay, then it's something you must have, or you might not be able to exist and thrive comfortably. Food, clothing, shelter, maybe sometimes friendship, but you really don't need friendship. However, you do need connection with other human beings. They've proven that babies that were left in a nursery, they were given food, shelter, water, but they were not picked up and held. They were not taught connection in the early stages. And a lot of those babies in that experiment ended up dying. So yes, connection with humans is a definite need. It has been scientifically and psychologically proven. However, a want would be, I've got to have this best car because my neighbor has it, or because it'll make me look good, or an expensive luxury house that you know you can't afford to pay monthly payments on, but you're entitled to it because after all, look who you are. Oh, cool. Good to have you, Pink. All right. So that's another thing. And then here's a third idea. A specific seat in a restaurant. And here's an example of this. My ex-narcissist, not my ex-husband, but my ex-narcissistic mentor, who I went to visit because we were trying to see if we could mesh together and eventually go to a mission trip together and basically lead people in Africa to the Lord. But we couldn't because she couldn't stand me for various reasons. Well, one of the places she and her husband took me was to a restaurant that they had frequented. we got to the restaurant, and I'm amazed because it's a really nice restaurant. I was very impressed that they even brought me, because I'm not hoity-toity, anybody. I'm just me. Y'all know that about me. But this was a woman who used to hand her children at slumber parties that she had for them all the money they wanted. She'd say, here, take my charge card, just get whatever you want, put it in the cart, and we'll go get it. She had money to do that because her husband made cabinets for $1 million house owners. I wasn't connecting with that because I lived in a little podunk, Illinois, and did not have riches to brag about. I lived on welfare. So this was something that put me in awe. Anytime I saw anybody with more than what I had, I was like, wow, my jaw probably hit the floor when we got into the restaurant. So I'm just like impressed and happy to be there. All of a sudden she starts huffing like, ugh. I'm like, what is your deal? Are you okay? She's like, no, I'm not. So she starts whispering something to her husband, and he whispered something back to her. And, I was a visitor. I wasn't going to say, what are you guys whispering about? It's none of my business. They're a married couple. But who knows what they were talking about? All of a sudden, she just starts getting really angry, and you could feel the aura, the atmosphere around her just change to where you didn't even want to be near her. And we go and we finally get seated after quite a long wait, which she apparently was not used to and did not feel that she deserved. So we sat down, and I'm asking her husband, what's going on? I mean, she seems really upset. He's like, I don't know, ask her. So I asked her, what is going on? Oh, I'm just mad. I said, why are you mad? Because they always seat us first. They know we always come here. They know us by name. We are on a first name basis with them. How dare they make us wait? I'm like, it's okay. I can wait for my meal. No, it's not okay. It's the principle of the thing. They always seat us first. Now they seated those people over there, and now we had to wait. We never have to wait. This is ridiculous. So you might call her a Karen. Some people call them Karens nowadays. She was being quite the Karen that day, and I was terribly confused because I was just in awe of this amazing restaurant we were in. But yeah, so there you go. There is a thing of what they genuinely want versus what they genuinely need. She needed food, yes, to survive, but it was a fancy luxury thing. We were going there on an excursion of an event. I don't remember exactly what it was, but she was causing a scene. And that's what they do when they're entitled, especially in the restaurant situation. In fact, there's a known fact that with narcissists, if you want to know what is a narcissist, watch how they treat the waitresses and the waiter staff and the people serving them. 9 times out of 10, you can tell a narcissist very quickly because they'll be very bossy with the wait staff and very entitled and very demanding and send food back constantly and complain about the atmosphere of the restaurant or whatever. You definitely can pick them out of a crowd just by watching how they treat the wait staff. The narcissist may get miffed that someone else got attention that they felt belonged to them. Yeah, it sounds and looks like a child having a temper tantrum while waiting for their meals, like I just told you, because it is childish. Narcissists are like spoiled 6 and 7-year-olds. Adult narcissists act like children. The narcissist may demand that you come running at their every beck and call and practically read their minds. You better know what they need before they have to ask for it, or else. Now, example of this. Same narcissist, ex-mentor. I had gone to her house. I had earned this trip to her house because it was around my birthday and I had behaved the way she wanted me to behave. Yeah, I'm a happy little codependent sometimes. That's why you see me hooking up with people in very enmeshed and unhealthy relationships. And I'm really struggling this time to avoid doing that. And I have every intention, with Yahweh's help above, to not do that again in this case. But I have been known in the past to hook up in unhealthy relationships. And in this case, this was extremely toxic and extremely unhealthy. And I'm telling this to you so you don't have to walk in my footsteps and learn the hard way, because it is very painful and it is very difficult to extricate yourself from people like this when you find yourself enmeshed. So I had earned the right to go to this ex-mentor's house, and her mother was coming over. Now, her mother was the matriarch of the family. This was a ministry family. And one of the rules, the unspoken rules, which is also part of narcissism, you don't know what the rule is till you break it, by the way. One of the rules was when mom comes, everything stops. We get her coffee. We know exactly how much cream she puts in it. We know how dark she wants it. We know how much sugar to put in it. Now, mind you, I am a visitor. I've never met her mother until now. I had no clue what kind of coffee she liked. I didn't even know they got her coffee when she came in the door. So flashback. Okay, go back a little ways. Here comes this woman walking in the door. We're going to be talking about ministry things that had gone on in their church. Her mother sits down, and I'm just on the computer trying to be respectful. Here's a family ministry thing going on. It doesn't include me. It's not my business. So I'm typing away on the computer, not thinking anything's wrong with it. And they have their little meeting, blah, blah, blah. Somebody split the church and took their own ministry over here and divided everybody, and they're upset. Okay, whatever. So I'm thinking nothing of it. I'm like, I was nice and respectful. I minded my own business. They worked out whatever they worked out. So her mom and her dad leave. And all of a sudden, she had this thing where when she was mad, she'd go out on the deck. They lived in a trailer. And she would do this with her cigarette. And usually like this at me. If I came out, if she even dared to look at me. Most of the time, she didn't maintain eye contact. But if she did, it was, first of all, she didn't wear glasses. So it was like this. Looking at me up the top of her eyes. Taking her little cigarette. I wish I had. Oh, here's a pen. Okay, I'll pretend this is a cigarette. It looked kind of like this. And this angry stare that was so creepy. It would just like eat right through you. So she would do that. She'd sit out on her porch swing or her seat or whatever. I'd be like, we'll call her Becky. Becky, what's wrong? Nothing. No, something is wrong. What is going on? Nothing. Everything's fine. Just go do what you're doing. No, I'm not leaving. We're best friends. You need to talk to me. I tried. They have this way of making you want to pry things out of them, especially if you really care about the person. And at this point, I had known her for about a year. We were pretty close and meshed, like I told you. And she just wouldn't tell me anything. So finally, she says to me, when my mother comes over, we get her coffee for her. We make sure it has 2 sugars in it. We make sure it's not too dark. We make sure there's this much cream in it. And we have it ready before she even comes in the door. I'm like, okay. You should have known that. I'm like, how should I have known that? I just met your mother like the other day. What are you talking about? We all know that. When mom comes in, she is the head of this family. Everything stops. You sat there on your stupid little computer and ignored us the whole time. Is that how you're going to be part of the ministry? And like, I was trying to be polite. I didn't want to, impose. You are part of our family now. You are part of our ministry. You're never an imposition. And I'm angry that you even think that way. I'm like, okay. She said, so for the rest of the time that you are here, you make sure that if my mom comes in, you stop everything. You turn around and you're part of this family. And you make sure her coffee is the way she wants it. I said, how am I supposed to know that? I will teach you how. Okay. So from the rest of the time I was at her house, anything she taught me, she would come back and examine it and critique me on it. And of course, it was never good enough because for narcissists, anything you do is never good enough. It just isn't. There's no way you're ever going to achieve the level of expertise they have, especially since I didn't hardly know these people, really. I had not met her mother, like I said, in person till that day. I chatted with her briefly online about ministry things, but I didn't know her personal preferences. I didn't know she was like the queen of the family and everything stopped when she walked in the door. I had no clue. So anyway, so they expect you to read their minds. And I gave you that example. Did I ever learn how to do the coffee the right way? No, I didn't even come close. I also could not do my hair the way she wanted it to be. And I didn't like the things she liked. And it was just a big disaster. Anyway. The narcissist may feel entitled to determine the types of relationships you have. Now, here's an example of this. Because my ex-narcissist had been previously married and was now on her second marriage, and she had divorced her husband, and it was an ugly battle. He used to chain her to the refrigerator because she tried to get food for her daughter and her, and he didn't want them to eat some days, so he would literally put a padlock and a chain her to the fridge. And so she did not last in that marriage with really good reason. And I'm glad she didn't, because she didn't deserve to be abused in such a way, obviously, or in any way. Well, because her marriage did not work out and because she was a narcissist, I believe, she felt perfectly entitled to keep hinting about how she could split my husband at the time up from me. And she would literally say this. Now, one thing about narcissists you need to know is that they are very, very tactless. They don't care what they say. They will say what you're thinking. In fact, that was her thing she would say when we would go into ministry chat rooms. She would say just the most outlandish, tactless things. And she would giggle and say, I'm only saying what you're thinking. And that was her little MO of being a jerk, basically at times, saying really cruel, tactless things to people. Sometimes it was funny. Sometimes she was very entertaining. She was quite the entertainer. I won't ever say she wasn't entertaining, and she wasn't a really awesome preacher to listen to. In fact, if I could listen to her now, I probably would, because she really knew her stuff when she preached. And I think that's something I am finding out about narcissists, is they're not necessarily just evil, awful people that don't have some kind of redeeming qualities. It's just that you got to dig through all the crap to get to them. Okay. So she did this 3 times. I bet I can get you to leave your husband. I bet I can divide you from him. All I have to say is the right thing. So she would do this once online, and then once when we were in a cabin, supposedly to work on a ministry project together. And then once when I was actually at her house sitting on a couch, she was talking to me about how she contributed to these different charities, how she gave clothes to people that needed them and all kinds of stuff like that. And then all of a sudden she would say, yeah, and I gave all these clothes over to this church, and I felt really good about it, and they really needed them. Those people were just absolutely desperate, and they looked awful, and I was so glad I could change their appearance for them. By the way, Laura, I know I could get you to leave your husband. I know exactly how to do that. All I would have to say is one thing, and you would leave him. Now, I'm sitting there going, what on earth? Why would she even be wanting to get me to leave my husband? And why would she be bragging about it like it's some kind of, I don't know, talent or skill? So, and I remember sitting there, me, the fighter. No, you can't. No, you can't. I would not leave him. There's nothing you could do. Yeah, we have problems, but we're tight. You'd never get me to leave him. Now, ultimately, she did actually help me leave him. So, it was pretty interesting. Anyway, she wasn't the main reason I left. There was a lot more to it. But yes, she did ultimately give me a car, help me get to college, and open my eyes to what I was being treated like. And I finally did leave. So indirectly, yeah, she was right. She did. And what she said to me was basically, I have a car for you. That's pretty much my ticket to freedom out. But I did not leave him right away. That was like literally years later after that. Okay. So on to the next topic. When the narcissist has a bad day, you must also have one too. They will set out saying things to get you to react with anger, hurt, upsetment, just so they don't have to feel alone in their misery. There is a really true statement called misery loves company, and narcissists are ideal at producing this in you if they're feeling that. They love to put their feelings onto you, and they will definitely do it at every given moment. The narcissist will often act bratty, even though he or she thinks and says that this trait is ugly in other people. Again, temper tantrums, pity parties, anything like that. And the list goes on. One of the most destructive aspects of narcissistic entitlement is that the narcissist can feel entitled to be ruthless and vengeful, using passive-aggressive behaviors towards you, such as saying cruel things about you to others or in front of others, and then claiming you didn't hear him correctly, or you're overreacting. I was just joking. I was just playing. Or the narcissist might start accidentally talking about something that they know causes you painful memories, triggering you. It might cause you embarrassment. Or it might destroy progress with something you've been working on in yourself, such as therapy, or conquering your fears, or being promoted on a job. One thing that the narcissist knew that I loved was my cats. I always loved cats. I used to have a cat out at the cottage that would just literally come up to me and plop on my lap. Just a strange cat from the neighborhood. I never had seen that cat before. And I loved cats ever since then. And we had tons of cats. We had like 40, 50 cats at one time. We had a bigger house, but nonetheless, it was way too many. And my ex-husband, who was a narcissist, didn't believe in neutering and spaying animals. And I didn't have a job. He was the sole supporter. So I did not have any way to take care of the cats other than just watch them live, watch them die, feed them, give them, litter boxes, pet them, love on them, whatever. We had tons of cats all the time. I would never do that again, by the way. That was ridiculous. And it was unfair and cruel to the cats. But I was in a marriage situation where I truly believed it was the man's job to support the woman. That's what I was taught. It's what I believed biblically. And I still somewhat believe it. However, reality has it that both people have to work in order to survive these days. So obviously I have a job. It might not be the best, might not be the best hours. We're working on that. Anywho, so that being that, I love cats. We've established that fact. And Becky knew this. Becky was the narcissist. So when my kitten actually, accidentally got stepped on by my ex-husband and was dying in my hand. And I was begging him, please let me take him to the vet. Please, we have money. We can take him to the vet. He'll be okay. And he's like, hey, you got other cats. What do you care? It's just one darn animal. Get over it. And when I was talking to Becky on the phone, she's like, why are you crying? I was sobbing. I was so heartbroken watching this helpless little thing die in my arms and in my hand. I said, my kitten, she's dying. She's like, what kitten? Those 50 zillion cats you got there? You got other cats. What's the big deal? I'll never understand why you'd cry over a cat when you got so many of them. Now, again, tactless and cruel to somebody who loves animals, somebody that almost treats them like their own kids. And my kids treated them like, their sisters and brothers. It's kind of weird, but yeah. So I was hurt and I was very angry. And it really opened my eyes to who Becky really was. And I starting to realize, that I need to pull away from this person. They have no feelings whatsoever towards animals, towards humans. And they're just really entitled and ruthless and mean. So yeah, that was very hurtful to me. And it really set me back and made me really look at her like, I don't really think this is somebody I want to be around. Another thing they will do is try to destroy your jobs. They will call your jobs. They will get you fired from your jobs. They will plant seeds of doubt in your employer's minds if they can. Excuse me. When I talk too fast, I get all raspy. Post-COVID garbage. Okay. All right. So, all things are fair game to the narcissist. There is no holds barred with them. If they think they can get to you one way and it doesn't work, they will try every other way, and they're ruthless and they will not stop unless they get help, which very few of them do. So whether the narcissist has been accidentally ticked off by something you did or said, or you made them look bad, or they even perceive that you did something against them, or that you're about to do something against them, you are targeted for major attack, major aggression, and be prepared because it is surely coming. Entitlement is about taking from people. The Bible says the thief, Satan, or an actual thief, comes to steal, kill, and destroy. That's very much the narcissist. They are here to steal your joy, to kill your identity and your sense of safety, and to destroy everything you are, everything you do, everything you will do. That's what they do. They do it in so many ways to kill your sense of well-being. Okay, people who have less stuff are often, like objects, stuff, are often those who feel least entitled to have more of that stuff. These are the people who tend to feel happy and fulfilled in life for the most part because their worth is not in objects nor in controlling other people. They might be frustrated about their situation, but they have an acceptance of it and they try to make the best of it rather than using manipulation to get what they want. Usually, these are the folks who try to be content and don't feel that they deserve things simply because they exist in the world or they are. They are also people who enjoy healthy community living and peace among each other. They feel like the Bible said of Jesus' followers in the book of Acts, we have all things common. One does not have more than another because they're equal. And even if they literally have more than the other, they give to the other so that one does not have to go without or feel less than. Here's an example. I've talked about this before. One of the churches I used to go to, I'll tell you the name of it, Sanctuary Church. When we would go to church, we would often have newcomers come in, complete strangers, never saw them in our life. And you could tell they were lacking. They were in tattered clothes. Their kids looked kind of dirty. And I'm not judging, I'm not shaming, I'm just telling you facts. And my pastor would have everybody, he'd say, the Lord has laid on my heart to take up an offering for this family. We would raise hundreds of dollars for them. Kind of like you see people on here getting super chats and PayPal and stuff like that, because people feel bad and they want to help. And some people really like you, so they help because they want to be giving out of the kindness of their Christian heart. So we would do that. And they've done it for me and for my daughter and I many times, and for my family. It's just what we did. I don't know if they still do that. I've gone back to the church. It's never happened since then. But back when we were at a different location, a different building, there were more people and we were a family. So that's what we did. We helped each other as a family. And if people came in, there was a saying in some churches, you're only a stranger once and then your family. That's kind of how it was at our church, and it still is at some churches. So that's what we would do. And there's an example of very altruistic giving, of wanting what is best for all and not wanting anyone to feel like they have more than me or they're better than me. We really practice that in this church. This can also be noted in certain people groups like AA. Pagan witches groups even have this table. I know because my former friend was a pagan. She became a pagan. She was a Christian, became a witch. She told me the reason she left the Christian church was because of the kindness she saw in the pagan communities. They would have a big table and they would put whatever they didn't need or want, they would put it on this table, and anybody that had need or want of it could take it off the table. I was impressed by that. I was like, it's too bad it takes somebody that is, of a different type of belief system that in my Christianese or whatever believed we should not even talk to pagans or witches. They will put a hex on us or something. I was like, wow, that's amazing. That's impressive. I mean, even Angie, who is a self-proclaimed witch, has donated to me like about $10. And I'm not bragging about it. Woohoo, I got money. That impressed me. It was like, she's a kind person. She might be a witch, but she's kind. And some people that claim to be Christians have treated me way worse than the witches have. So that's just a fact. That's not me saying, oh, I'm in favor of witchcraft or whatever. It's just that as people, they're good people, some of them. Just like as people, some Christians are good and some are horrible. And makes me wonder if they're really Christian at times. But that's for God to decide. Anyway, also, people with common hobbies often get together and are altruistic and giving towards each other because they have a common goal. They have a common interest, and they have other people alongside of them, and they have things in common with them. That's what builds community, is commonality. Think about that. And even gangs, some of the most brutal gangs, they had this family sense about them. And even though they're doing sinister things on the side, you betcha if somebody had a need of something, that gang member is going to step up and I got you. I got your back. I got this covered. Don't worry about it. You'll pay that bill because I got it. I'm going to foot the bill for you. And they did that. I know that for a fact because I've known gang members, believe it or not. Dee has been around. Whatever. Entitlement is a feeling of never having enough, so that one needs to abuse other people in order to have more, to feel complete or better than another person. It's an addiction. It's a compulsion. It's a drive. It's like a drug, actually, and it never lasts. The person is never satisfied. They never fill that void. It's just not going to happen. Here's an example. So the person in my life, the ex-narcissist, an ex-mentor narcissist, felt that she never had enough. She was never happy, never content, never satisfied. And since she told on herself quite often, she would tell me about unfinished hobbies that she did. She said, you don't understand, Laura. I never, ever finish anything, ever. I said, why? Because I just get restless. I get bored and it just doesn't meet my need. And now that you're my armor bearer, which, by the way, those of you who don't know what an armor bearer is, it's somebody that's basically like a bodyguard. I was a spiritual bodyguard to her at one point, especially when she went away to Africa. I could pray and see things in the spirit realm and warn her about damage coming her way. And it always found her if she didn't listen to me. That's just the truth. You can say I'm nuts. You can say I'm a psychic. I don't care what you say. That's who I was. I was an armor bearer. And she said to me, your job as my partner and my armor bearer is to find interesting things I can read, funny things online, and keep me entertained and interested. But it's a full-time job because I'm really never interested or entertained for very long. I lose interest very quickly. So your job is to make sure you keep me hooked into whatever you need to keep my interest up. I didn't think anything of it. I'm like, oh, I can be entertaining. We were doing impersonations with each other. That was how we actually connected. We would sit up till 3:00 in the morning, just impersonating Mickey Mouse characters and Disney characters and online TV characters, whatever. So I would try that. And she was very right. Nothing I did was good enough. Nothing was enough ever. And you felt this. The more you were with Becky, the more you could feel this sense of her trying to pull from you, but it never really filling her inside, never making her feel like she had enough entertainment or that she was content or she was happy. And her moods were all over the place. Entitlement invokes feelings of not deserving because one cannot create what one needs by themselves because that person feels small, alone, unloved, and unworthy. So when you see somebody bragging about themselves and telling you how wonderful they are, deep down inside, a lot of times, especially if they're narcissists, they feel very unworthy. They feel very small. They feel very alone. And in fact, Becky used to beg me, please forgive me if I do something wrong because I don't want to be alone with Father, meaning God, because he doesn't like it when I hurt people. He doesn't like it when I'm mean to people, and I'm afraid of him. That's the worst feeling is being alone with Father. Please don't make me have to go and ask him to forgive me. She was terrified of that, literally terrified. It was the strangest thing I've ever seen in my life. I thought it was pleasant to go to God, but not for her, because that meant she had to get alone with herself too. And she had to realize what she was doing. And she had to face the fact that she was a frail human being deep down inside and had a lot of flaws that she just never got healed. Because narcissists do. They're not secure people inside. They're very lonely, empty shells. They don't feel like they have a core. And I've had some of them tell me, if it wasn't for hanging out with you, I would be bored out of my mind because I have nothing to offer. I'm nothing. I'm nobody. I don't have anything inside of me to make me me. But you're there. And I can kind of sponge off of you in a sense. So when you leave the narcissist, guess what happens? Since they put everything that you are into who they are trying to be, there's nothing there because they never established a self, not a true self. So let's talk about children. What happens when a child doesn't receive love, trust, connection, and acceptance from the parent or its caregiver? This child craves approval and attention later in life and will choose all sorts of toxic, low-level relationships, needy relationships, unhealthy connections, abusive connections. No matter how many relationships they get into, it always comes back to empty, always. They're always the empty shell of a person. Then they start acting out as entitled because they were brought up in a way that established in their mind, I'm the only one I can count on. I'm the one. I need to have this love. I need to have this relationship. I need to have this sense of peace. And they never feel peace because they invoke turmoil all around them. An example of this is people that grew up in families with addiction. They never measure up. They aren't sure what the parent is going to do next. Their needs are often unmet, and the parent is often unable to emotionally be there. This might have been how it all started. A narcissist, when is a child, he or she as a child might have been abused, neglected, ignored, punished for existing or having basic needs. Some of them may have been the golden child, and nothing they did was ever wrong. And don't you dare make mommy embarrassed. Don't you dare get out there and embarrass me or shame me in public. How dare you make me look bad? That sort of thing. If you want to read a really good example of somebody that had a narcissistic female parent, I don't like calling them mothers, I call them egg donors, but you know what I mean. Read the book, A Child Called It, or A Boy Called It, A Man Named Dave. All those series are very good depictions of a narcissistic mother. So the child learns that it's too painful to have needs, and it's often even dangerous. So they bury the inner self and create an entitled one, a false self-image, similar to a celebrity or a fairy tale character who always gets the girl or the prince or the prize. In this concoction, which people in the outside world are looking at and examining, they are known often as the brutal boss, the diva queen, or other such terms. We kind of almost glorify narcissism in our society. We work for them. They take charge of us. They boss us around and even run our country at times. This false self is pathological, so thereby it's fake. It lacks real substance and balance and can be triggered easily to overreact in unhealthy, grandiose, and malicious ways toward other people due to its actual fragileness, envy, and insecurities that we just talked about. Here's an example of that. When my narcissistic ex-mentor realized that I could care less about the finer things in life, I couldn't tell you the difference between Dove chocolate or Hershey's chocolate. To me, it was all chocolate. I didn't care. That bothered her so bad. She was like, what is wrong with you? Why don't you understand that there are finer things in life? Why don't you compare the menial things to the she didn't say grandiose, but the grander things in life? I could never relate to you. We could never go on a ministry trip because you'd be wearing this over here and instead of dressing up and doing your hair perfectly. And I couldn't do it. I couldn't be your partner. So basically, she had just learned to take riches for granted. Her husband built cabinets for $1 million house owners. So she would have, like I told you, her daughters over, she'd have her daughter's friends over for slumber parties and they'd go shopping and she would literally hand them credit cards and say, here, go get what you want. And she would do the same thing. And if she was upset, you better believe her husband would buy her anything her little heart desired. Yes, Dave Pelzer, thank you. Hey, Hazel. So, and I apologize, I'm not looking at the chat because I'm really trying to stay focused here. And then I promise I will go backtrack and comment on whatever you're saying. I promise. That's the way I have to do it. Otherwise, I get terribly sidetracked because of my ADHD brain or ADD brain. So she got really mad at me because, like I told you, the smaller things were the same as the bigger things to me. I didn't care. She said, I probably could pick a dandelion for you and you'd be all thrilled because it was your Becky that gave it to you. I looked at her and I said, yeah, pretty much. You're right. That's pretty much how I see it. It would be, she's like, why? I don't understand. Why don't you understand that, that there's finer things? Why don't you see the difference? I said, it's not that I don't see the difference. I don't care. I'm happy with the motive of the heart. It's from the heart. And yeah, Becky, if you gave me something, it would be awesome for me. She goes, I know, you'd get all giddy and excited about it. I don't understand that. Like, okay, well, that's just me. She's like, well, I can't do that. So basically, she determined she had no use for me. So while I was at her house, she shunned me for 3.5 weeks, or 6.5 weeks, sorry. She mocked me. She called me Miss Piggy. She was watching the pizza commercial with Miss Piggy on it, and she'd say to her husband, ha, 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 look there's Laura. While I was sitting right there just cringing, going, ouch. That hurts. This is my best friend hurting me. And you don't see that. You don't feel that. You know, she would play horror movies purposely to watch me squirm. And then she would giggle at me. I can't believe this bothers you. Look at her squirming into the couch. I can't believe that this bothers her so much. And she would just keep doing it. And one time there was a scene on, I won't say what the scene was because it'll offend people, but it was a lifestyle scene and she couldn't bear to see this scene. I think because she had some kind of bad experience with this sort of thing. Just watch that for me, Laura. Let me know when it's over. I can't bear to look. So she made me watch this horrible thing. And then I had to tell her when it was over. And yeah, I mean, you have to understand I was controlled by this time. So when I say I had to tell her, I didn't know how not to. I was very codependent and very dependent on her. And she had, you want to say groomed. She groomed me for quite a while before I ever even met her in person. So I did her bidding, basically, which is why you see me fighting, having to do anybody else's bidding on here, because I won't ever go back into that again. Anyway, so she would blame me for things. She blamed me for taking cookies that her kids actually probably snuck when she wasn't looking. She got very mad when I said, well, maybe the kids ate them. I'm not blaming them, but maybe they got hungry and had a snack. No, my kids would never. How dare you blame my children? I mean, it was ridiculous, way overreacting, out of place aggression and whatever. It was insane. So then when she finally got tired of me, realized that we were not going to mesh at all, no matter what, she began replacing me with my former best friend that she claimed to have rescued me from the rejection of, and then discarded me entirely, out of the ministry, out of her life, whatever. But not till she batted me around like a mouse for a while, like a cat with a mouse. So anyhow, and of course she watched me on Yahoo, the online thing, Yahoo, and would tell her new supply source lady, hey, look, Laura's on. She's like, why do you care? You split from her. What is your deal? She didn't understand, but she had to hold on to me just a little bit longer and bat me around, because she'd say certain things to get me going, and I would react because I was groomed and I knew how to react to, make her happy or make her angry or whatever. She projected emotions on me very well. She was very good. Angie calls it emotional vampires. She very much was one. So the false self that my ex-mentor created in herself was to be esteemed as infallible, higher intelligence, having this relationship with Father that nobody else had, meaning God, attractive, uniqueness, and specifically important and worthy of honor at all times. And of course, special treatment due to her entitlement. When I first met her, it was at an airport. I flew in to hang out with her at one point. She said, Laura, let me show you something. I'm like, okay. See that guy over there? I'm like, yeah. She goes, look at how he's watching me. He wasn't even looking at her. I'm like, I don't see it. Look at him. Look, just keep watching. He'll look over here. He's undressing me with his eyes. He wants me. I'm like, okay. Yeah, okay. Now, you're an attractive woman. You are, Becky. But honestly, he ain't even looking your direction. Yes, he is. You just don't see it. And this is what men have done to me all my life. That's why I have no use for men, except for my husband. I'm like, okay, whatever you say. And you just kind of go along with it because you don't know where they're coming from. So anyway, let me get back to what I was saying here. There was another part, I think. Yeah, so special treatment due to the entitlement. So here's another example. When I went to her house, Becky's house, and I started seeing how she was treating her family around her and everybody bowed down and kissed her booty, I finally started carefully deconstructing their delusions of her. And when I did that and I started pointing out to them, don't you see how every time Becky comes in the room, everybody stops what they're doing and answers her questions, but ignores the kids over here and stops whatever responsibilities they're supposed to be taking care of, because as long as Becky was happy, everybody around them would be at peace. But as soon as you ignored Becky or you didn't answer her question immediately, bam, all chaos broke loose. As soon as I started pointing this out to everybody in the family, I became targeted. And sadly, I was trapped at her house at this point, and I felt very immobilized by my situation. The way she set it up was, you will fly here and then, or no, actually this time, your daughter, Carol, will drive you halfway out. My parents will pick you up and take you the rest of the way to my state where I live. And then we'll have a girly day and we'll have fun. Girly, I can't wait. I've been waiting to see you for so long, blah, blah, blah. She would call her parents on the phone and say, let me talk to Laura. I'm so excited. My girlfriend's coming. Ooh, I'm so excited. We're going to have such a good time. So she played it up like, oh, we're going to celebrate her birthday. We're going to have such a wonderful time. And the kids are looking forward to meeting her, blah, blah, blah. Okay. So anyway, that's how it all started. And when I got there, it was anything close to that. She ignored me most of the time. Her mother came in, her father came in, and she pretty much hung out with them. And I wasn't even there. I was like invisible to her. That's actually what happened. It was the weirdest thing I've ever experienced, but I figured, well, I'm in somebody else's house. Maybe this is how their family runs. I'm not going to make waves. I'm just going to sit here and observe and not say anything. So, because I didn't know what to do. The only way home was she was giving me a car. That was her deceased ex-friend's car. She said, that's how you're going to get home. We're going to give you a car. We're going to fill it with gas for you. We're going to make sure it's in good shape and you drive it home. So, okay. So that wasn't the first car I got from somebody online recently. I had another car given to me, and no, I did not trash it. It actually, my ex-husband trashed it in the end. But I did take that car and go to college, and that's when I started having my eyes open about the abusive marriage I was in. Anyway, so getting back to what I was saying, I was starting to point out to people, this is what's going on. Don't you people see this? You treat her like the queen, Queen Becky. They didn't see it until somebody actually dared to point it out. It was an unspoken thing. When Becky comes in the room, that's how it is. Everything focuses on her. Same with her mother. So anyway, they would start to say, hey, she's got a point. Laura, you got a point. She does seem a little bit demanding at times. And they'd say it in front of her. So that was not a good idea. Anyway, when they started really calling her out on things and I was pointing out things, she hurried very quickly to rebuild her defenses. And I was quickly seen as the enemy of the family rather than her equal that she was going to go do ministry with. So a narcissist uses entitlement to feel like he or she has a soul, an inner core. We talked about that a little bit earlier. If others esteem them, they must be something. They must exist and they must be awesome. But they never believe this deep inside. In fact, they generally feel low and worthless when all narcissistic suppliers are absent. You will see this in the fact that the narcissist cannot ever bear to be physically alone. There is a saying that narcissists rarely have true friends, but always have followers and fans. Narcissists are definitely not used to being told no. The narcissist is unable to soothe and comfort themselves or properly grieve or handle deep feelings, so they rely on the reactions of others to know how to feel about situations. Let's talk a little bit about the golden child narcissist. Narcissistic entitlement is also caused by the parents who create the golden child as an extension of their own narcissism. This is the child that's good at everything. You might have had a brother or a sister, if you grew up in a narcissistic family, who was the star child of the family. They could do nothing wrong. They were amazing, unique, special, talented, and so much better than you. That child ends up lacking the ability to have boundaries, and they don't know how to respect other people's boundaries. And they start believing that they are the rule givers and the rule makers, and they are not obligated to follow any rules. So they will make the rules with society, elders, leaders, whatever. They are the Veruca salts from Willy Wonka. Remember Veruca? I want a Oompa Loompa and I want it now, Daddy. Remember her? I want a golden egg. I want the goose that lays the golden egg. And she got what she wanted. You shall have it, dear. Anything you want. Anything, Veruca. Please, please don't be upset. I'll get it for you. Wonka, how much is the goose? It's not for sale. No, she must have the goose. That's Veruca. And she was the Veruca of the world, this Becky person in my life. And they'll demand objects to satisfy them rather than allow themselves to feel feelings. So for instance, if Becky got upset, she loved camouflage clothes or pajamas. She got upset at one point and did not know how to handle me being in her presence. And she would say to her husband, we'll call him Bob, will you buy me cami jammies, please? Please take me to go get cami jammies. Oh, my Lord, have mercy. So they talk baby talk too, some of them. They'll do anything they can to manipulate. And you better believe Bob took her right to the store to go get her cami jammies. She had her camouflage jammies that night. Do you think that satisfied her, though? No, not on your life. Not at all. All right. So this child believes that they are special, unique, better than everybody else. They are the star of the show and everything should be about them. So they demand objects rather than allowing themselves to really feel feelings. They struggle to communicate in general and expect people to read their minds about what they truly need. And they make assumptions. They project their own entitlement onto others. Let's talk about how they take what they're really experiencing and put it onto other people. The narcissist will accuse a victim of being a mooch. They'll say, the only reason you helped that person was because it made you look good. When that's actually why the narcissist does charitable deeds rather than the victim. Often the victim is helping others because they are either dependent, codependent, or maybe, just maybe, an honestly caring person. And the narcissist just can't comprehend that because the narcissist is not altruistic. They don't care about the people they help. They care about how it makes them look. You'll eventually realize that the entitled narcissist lacks the ability to deal with reality properly and that he or she absolutely needs a scapegoat in order to survive in the world. What's frightening and true is that the narcissist actually believes the lies and accusations that they make against against others. They truly cannot tell the difference between their reality and actual reality. They could be labeled as having an extreme unconsciousness. When you attempt to prove or have proof of what happened, the narcissist will still insist on the lie, the way that they choose to present and see things. Okay, hold on a second. The adult that lives through entitlement ruins relationships by destroying trust and defiling love. Eventually, the people involved must go their separate ways or become toxified. The entitled person in their current framework will only continue to generate toxic relationships and sabotage any chance of them ever being healthy. Manipulation is the name of the game of narcissists. It's their MO, and their lack of empathy leaves them as cold as a stone when their victims then try to reach out for connection or reconnection and understanding. The main issue of narcissism entitlement is that it does not recognize people as being individuals. Therefore, they purposely can violate the boundaries of others and then turn deaf ears and blind eyes to the humans they're attempting to damage. So, number one, narcissists that are entitled don't even see others. Number two, they believe everything is theirs. 3, they'll leave you hurting and empty and not care. 4, they don't give a rip what you think, how you feel, what your experience is, nor do they believe it or present it as believable. 5, they're all about self-pity. Poor me, I'm the victim. Look at what they're doing to me. Look at how they're treating me, even though they just got done skewering somebody. And 6, they're never, ever satisfied. They're never fulfilled. And until they get real help, they're not going to stop. That's all I got, guys. I am going to actually read back to some of your comments here as far back as I can go, and I will answer some of the things that you shared, and then we can have an open discussion if you like, or I can just go if nobody wants to talk about it. So yes, they are like Karens, Pink, exactly. You're not a nut, by the way, Pink. You just are opinionated, and you know what works for you, and you got to do what works for you. Okay. Serial kill. Oh, you're asking about the name. Super serial. Yeah, Mark, true. A lot of people have issues. Narcissism is actually very high in statistical ratings now. I don't know what the statistics say. Somebody could look that up, but there's a lot of narcissists in the world, and you're going to run into them if you haven't yet, most likely. Okay. Thank you, Red, for your encouragement. Breaking Bad. Leave a husband, get a car. Sounds reasonable. Well, actually, I got the car first, then left the husband years later. On a roll. Well, I'm just sharing what I know, and narcissism is one thing I know. I've lived it so many times with people. Okay. You feel all alone in the chat. Well, you shouldn't feel all alone, but I'm ADD, so I can't focus on chat when I'm trying to share. And I really had a lot to share, and I wanted to get it out there. But yes, Jeff, Dave Pelzer, good books, very heartbreaking story. Very much a trigger warning on Dave Pelzer books. They're very graphic. Okay. My impersonation skills. Yeah, I'm a goofball sometimes. All right. Well, does anybody want to share anything or have any input? If not, I can go. I think I covered every comment I can see here. So now if you want to talk about anything, we can. Otherwise, we'll leave it at that. And I will go do my dishes and make stir fry because that's what I'm doing today. Oh, I read them so many times, Jeff. I know. It's very heartbreaking. And then his brother, who got left behind when he finally got out of the abuse, is claiming that he's lying about everything, that he embellished it. And yeah, it's sad. Well, his brother, I think, was the golden child. He was the one that helped punish him. And I think in order to survive, his brother had to paint the picture a little bit differently. Like, well, mom wasn't that bad, because he would have to admit that he had a monster for a mother otherwise. And I guess because he was the golden child, he had a certain warmth towards his mother, is what kind of I interpreted it as. But yeah, those are good books. The Dave Pelzer series are good. He writes some books, I think, for teenagers as well. Anywho, I will continue on this series about narcissistic traits because I think it's a good one to know. Eventually, I am going to be talking about sales manipulation and techniques, but I have not really felt led to go in that direction yet. So the Joshua series, I don't believe so, Red Nolan. I haven't been reading much. I'm more of an online junkie now. So I do read like self-help diet books and stuff like that. But no, I haven't really read novels. I don't really get into novels. Not that I wouldn't. I might read it. I don't know. What's it about, Red Nolan? Is it something you, knowing me, like you've probably come to know me a little bit, do you think that'd be something I'd be interested in? Because I'm willing to check it out at some point. Anyway, happy Hanukkah to everybody that celebrates it. And even those of you that don't, it's still a wonderful time. And tonight we light the 6th candle, I believe. We're almost done with Hanukkah. And then before you know it, we will be into Christmas. But Saturday, which is tomorrow at 4 o'clock, I will be celebrating Thanksgiving with my family. So yes, I'm still going to see them on holidays, like I told you. I'm just kind of distancing myself from the hurtful stuff. Yeah, I kind of figured that, Red Nolan. I thought they probably would with the name Joshua. It was probably the story of Joshua, most likely. I actually saw a video about Joshua. It was very graphic and violent. It was on some type of Catholic Christian network thing. But yeah, it was interesting. It really drew you in, but yeah, the graphicness of it and the violence and stuff was too much for me. I had to forward through a lot of that stuff, obviously. Aw, thanks, Mark. I prefer to do these, but at times I have to speak out for myself, and I feel like I want to, and it's my channel, so I do. That's also my way of claiming back my life and becoming empowered again, getting my power back from whom I gave it to. And as long as I'm being smeared and lied about, I'm eventually going to feel like I want to set the record straight on that. Interesting. I might read that, Red Nolan. It sounds interesting. Cool. Thanks for the idea. I'll write myself a little note to check out Joshua. Sometimes I write myself notes and then I forget where I put the note and then I don't do anything about it, but hopefully I'll remember this time. I don't have any money right now for Joshua books, but someday I will. Someday I'll get back on my feet. We've been working on covering the angles and stuff to reestablish the financial connections we had and get our bills paid and get back on our feet again. Anyway. Okay, well, I'm glad you enjoyed this. Hey, Spoof, hi. I'm glad you enjoyed. I'm actually heading off, Spoof, because I was waiting for some conversation to come up, but people are probably just processing everything I said, or maybe they're just busy doing stuff, and that's fine. It'll be out there. I'm not going to put this in private. It needs to be shared. And for all of you narcissists out there, I know you won't listen to me anyway, but please get some help if you can. If there is help for you, if you happen to not be a malignant narcissist and you happen to be somebody that does a little bit of self-reflection on how you treat other people and what you think of yourself, please go and talk to a therapist and get the help. And for victims of narcissists, I believe you. Yes, they really did say that tactless thing. They were really that mean to you. They did abuse you. You are a victim. 2, there is help for you. You just need to know the right channels to go to. Grief counseling is great. EMDR is wonderful. Cognitive behavioral therapy, dialectic behavioral therapy is all wonderful. They're wonderful tools. There's thema therapy. There's other therapies that could help you. Reach out to your local mental health place and get some help if you've been victimized by a narcissist. And what I always say, if you have been harmed and abused, if you are in an abuse situation, please tell a safe person you can trust not to go back to the narcissist, not to do anything crazy, and let them know you're being abused. Let them know something seems off. and start making your getaway plan safely. Do not leave in a situation where the narcissist is already enraged or where they're coming home from work and they're going to find you leaving. Don't put yourself in that position. Find a safe person to rescue you, to take you in their getaway car with your stuff out of there to a safe location. Maybe to the police station would be the best place to go if you're being abused. But don't do it in a volatile situation where the narcissist is going to catch you or the person helping you. Not a good idea, because they have proven in domestic violence situations, when the woman tries to leave, that is the highest point of likely violence towards her or the children or the person helping her. So please, please do it safely if you are, if you're in that situation. Oh, thanks, Red. Yeah, I know, Pink. And I usually present the narcissist as like the bully, the monster, whatever. But honestly, they are very insecure individuals deep down inside. And many of them around here, actually, at a men's shelter, did get help. But it literally required removing them from their home, from their children, from their families, from their friends, from their church, from anything they had as part of their life, their supply, and reprogramming their brains. Literally teaching them, okay, when your daughter falls and skins her knee, you don't sit there and laugh at her and say, well, serves you right, you got what was coming to you. You say, oh, honey, are you okay? You know, really reprogramming their brain. The reason I know when I'm being mistreated and abused on here that I'm being abused is because I know the opposite way and I know the right way. My mom was very much a nurturer. And yeah, it's definitely a last resort for them. Definitely. Usually their marriage is about to end, or somebody ended their own life because of something they did and they're feeling guilty and they've lost all their friends. It's usually, yeah, it's called the correctional facility for a reason. Exactly. And that's what I'm talking about. It was a correctional facility, a men's shelter / correctional facility. Different places do it different ways, but yeah, basically that's what it is. Remove all supply, remove anything that's telling them, oh, that's okay. Oh, you're a wonderful person. You're awesome. Or you're so talented. No, because that's what they thrive on. That feeds that false self. You got to get them away from anything feeding that and cut them off cold turkey. Anyway, I recognize narcissists when I see them. It's not always easy to extricate yourself from them, even if you know everything about them, especially if they're very charming and they're very talented and cunning at what they do. They're not people that haven't been around this block before. They've had other victims before you. And that's why it's so hard for you to realize that you're not the only one. You're not alone. There are people that have gone through it and are going through it. Right? A good slap on the head? No, because if you slap the narcissist on the head, well, they may retaliate. They might slap you back. I don't know. But they'll probably just say, you're crazy. You need to go to therapy. You need to go to counseling. You need to be locked up. They'll gaslight you like you're the one that's bad. You know, that's how they are. They'll just turn everything on you. So, oh, don't leave the live yet. Okay. My husband has told me he wants to share something with you to show on the live stream for everybody. Okay, honey. So do I believe there's narcissists among us? I definitely do. There are. And do I think always the best thing is to cut them off cold turkey? Ultimately, yes. However, that doesn't necessarily stop them from doing what they do, because remember, it's like food to them. It's a supply. And they're going to keep trying to reel you back in for more supply. So I would just rather stand up for myself and have my chats and do what I do like I've always done for over the years, and just not get reeled back in. That's it. Because cutting them off riles them up more. And then that's a narcissistic injury and they react in narcissistic rage and go after you even harder. But engaging with them opens the door for them to directly abuse you. So if I take my choice between direct and indirect abuse, I guess I would choose the indirect. honestly. But there is the people that, just totally shun them and get away from them and, cut off all ties, cut off the phone, the internet, any way they could possibly get a hold of you. You can do that too. And then they can't find you. I mean, that's legit, obviously. Change your number and do whatever, But yeah, if people are going to tell lies about me, I'm going to say, hey, that's not true. And this is what they're saying, and that's not true, and this is what's true. I always will do that because I feel I have a right to have a voice and tell my truth like everybody does. That's the difference between the narcissist and somebody like me. When I come on and I say, I'm angry about this, such and such happened, blah, 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 I'm telling you the truth. The narcissist is making up stuff. There's the difference. So they're going to lie their lies, whatever. And people that get to know me and like me and really understand where I'm coming from, they know that that's not true about me, And do I need to defend myself? No, but sometimes I like to. Ooh, Matthew wants me to show you the puzzles he did. Let's save the best for last. So here's two of his puzzles. One of your puzzles with the picture. That's the picture. That's the puzzle. Hang on, Evelyn. I'll answer that in a minute as best as I can. Here's the other one. No, I'm not a narcissist. I can't be. I have empathy. And I don't create a false image. Not willingly, anyway, to destroy people. There's the other one. And here is the one I bought him. The Marvel. I don't know who those people are. Captain
Ant-Man,
America?
Black Widow, Captain America, Doctor Strange.
There you go. Okay. So that was good timing, too, because narcissists are a puzzle.
You want to know how I did it?
How'd you do it? That's what we were supposed to do with mine.
Well, with mine, it worked because they're small enough puzzles.
Yeah.
Now I just need to find my freaking staple.
Okay, let's answer Evelyn's question. But Dee, what happens when you tell the truth to correct the lie and the other person just responds with another? Well, they're going to. That's all they know. That's in them. That's how they're wired. They only know how to lie. Lie, 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 lie. That's what they do. Expect it. So just ignore it or say, no, that's not true. Here's the truth, like I do. That's all. That's all you can do. You can't, there's no exposing them. There's no correcting them unless they lose all their supply, which would mean they would have to lose every friend they have. Their family members would have to turn their back on them. They would have to lose their job if they had one. They would have to get so far down. And I don't mean this false far down. Oh, I'm so depressed and everybody's beating up on me. And then they pop right back into, woohoo, I'm on top of the world. Come on and hang out with me. No, I'm talking about really down, like almost to the point of ending their life, literally, and losing their marriage and losing their friends and their family and their kids. Then and only then do the non-malignant narcissists seek help. But that's very rare. Yes, narcissists are in a loop like a computer program. Good way to put it, Red Nolan, yes. Intersect the loop and bam, wham, you get a kernel panic. I don't know what that means. Can you put that in layman's terms there, Red Nolan? I don't know what kernel panic is. I know Colonel Sanders. I don't know kernel panic. Yes, telling your truth gives you empowerment because you know what's true. And then the people that believe in you know what's true and all are happy in your court. But you're never going to convince the narcissist that their lies are exactly that, lies, because they tell them so much that they start to believe them. And then they convince other people that they're true. And if the people don't have a strong inner core and like to learn people for themselves, they're going to believe the narcissist against you every time. So I expect that. I don't know, Evelyn, maybe that's the case. I don't really know. I guess it depends on the person, how strong you are, as a person. If it really bothers you and triggers you and drains you, then it's best to let somebody else speak your truth for you, maybe. But I'll fight my own battles. Thank you. I've kept silent for 3 years. I'm done. I'm done being quiet. Yeah, they just make new fans over and over, not friends. They don't know how to be a friend, so they don't have friends. They don't know what that means. But they have fans. They have followers. They don't have friends. It would escalate. We've already tried that, Hill. That's one of the tactics we've tried to use. Angie's tried that. It's going to continue no matter what. There you go. They respawn with literal armies of alts. Okay. Okay, yeah. No, I believe in keeping my friends close and my enemies closer. So I will always know what the narcissist's next move is. Always. And I'll be ready for it. But yeah, I mean, majority of the time, surround yourself with healthy people, obviously. That's pretty much in the past, Hill. I'm really not drained. What you're seeing is somebody that, especially last night, I was tired physically. I'm really not drained. I'm actually empowered at this point. And this is actually the beginning of the month. So I'm not hypomanic. I'm actually mellow right now. But I'm feeling empowered. Like, they're not going to get my goat this time. I'm not going to go back into that this time. They're not going to win. They're not. But you have to also realize people are saying, Dee Dee, please don't return. Please don't go back. In order to do that, I have to keep straight what is the friend and what is the enemy. So since I know who my enemy is, I will avoid the enemy in close encounters. I will not go back into trying to befriend and make peace with the enemy. There is no peace. The Bible says, they say peace, peace when there is no peace. That's the mistake I made the last time. Oh, I just want peace. I just feel so good because we're okay with each other and everything is well. No, it's not. It's not well. It wasn't well. It was for a little while. Well, it seemed. It was perceived to be well. And then as soon as the cat got done with the mouse and batted it to death and wanted a new mouse, the mouse was kicked to the curb and put in the corner of the room. I used to tell that to Becky. I would say, I feel like a vase, like a flower vase that you just use and display however you want. But when you're done with it, and it gets a few cracks in it because it's getting older and it doesn't look pretty like you want it to, you put it up on a shelf, close the door, and forget about it. That's how it is. I always will feel empowered when I talk about narcissistic traits because that just reminds me of exactly what I'm dealing with and who I'm dealing with. So there you go. The enema of your enemy is full of crap. Well, I don't know about that, but I do know that I believe in you reap what you sow, or what goes around comes around. And I do think eventually narcissists do reap what they sow. They don't like it. They perceive it as a narcissistic injury, become full of narcissistic rage, or they retreat entirely. Oh, good to see you, Marley. I will promise you this, and I will promise Pandora, you will never be allowed back in my chat rooms, ever again. You won't, because I have people to protect and I have my psyche to protect and my dignity to protect. And you're already working on destroying it over in your chat room. So I sure as heck am not letting you come in here and A, destroying me some more in front of my friends, or B, coming in and acting like we're okay and you're a nice person, because you're not nice. And you're not going to portray your false self in my chat room. You can do it over there with your fans and followers or people you call friends, but you will never come into my chat room and use and abuse me again. Not going to happen. So anyhow, and by the way, if this army of people that I have now called acquaintances, maybe some friends, I don't know, ever does abandon me and turn on me, that's okay, because I have a legion of angels that will take up my cause, and I have Yahweh Almighty, and I have Yeshua, and I have what's his name? I can't remember his name. The Holy Spirit. What do you call him in Hebrew? Oh my goodness! I wish there were some good Jewish people in here. Hold on, Ruach. I think Ruach HaKodesh. There we go. Holy Spirit. He's got my back, even if any humans turn against me and I'm all alone with just him, I'm okay. So either way, I win. I won't say you lose. That remains to be seen, but I think you've lost a lot of friends. I think you've lost a lot of people that once believed in you and us and what we had. But you've got new people now that you're happy with, and they delight in joining you in your tirades and seeing your temper flare all over the place and listen to you complain and whatever it is you do over there. So that was her. Who her? Huh? What? What was her? I don't know what you mean. Well, you might see her coming in different names. And I can't stop that because YouTube allows that. And she's probably lurking and watching because she's probably bored in her own house. She's all alone. She got nothing to do till she comes online. I get it. And that leaves her alone with her her inner self. And that's terrifying to a narcissist. So yeah. I get it. I'm entertaining. I'm informative. She used to look up to me for that and admire that in me when it suited her and when it did something for her. But now she has informed me, I will never believe in you again. I don't like you. I don't look up to you anymore. So, oh, YouTube hid one of your comments? Oh, okay. Well, I do have some words hidden, so I don't know. It might have been something like that. I don't care. They can deliver whatever news they want. Anyway, I am starting to learn more about me through all these crazy 3 years that I've gone through. Certain things that I can and can't handle and will and won't put up with. So YouTube's been chewing your slippers. Anywho, I am going to go and do my dishes. Unless you still want to hang out and chat, I can bring you over to the sink and do the dishes over there. It doesn't matter to me. But I am going to get the living room and the kitchen clean today. That is my goal. I also do need to make a phone call to a bill person and take care of that. Yeah, Evelyn, who was her? I don't know what you mean. Is that a dog? I can't tell what that is. Yeah, that's a dog. Okay, not sure what the puppy's about, but... Oh, chewing your slippers. Puppy dog, yeah. He wants to time you out for practice? That's funny. Okay, well, plan on more of these types of rooms. I'm really trying to focus more on getting my channel back to the way it was, where I talk about narcissism and all things, you know, psychological type things, and yeah, that. So that's all I can say on that topic. I hope you have a great day, everybody, and that you're blessed. I need to go make a phone call and take care of business here. But you have a wonderful day. I have enjoyed this hour and 22 minutes that we have shared together. And yeah, I'm cool. You'll see. I'm not going to fold this time. I'm not running back, and I'm not allowing anything evil to come in this room or anything that is dangerous to my wonderful adherents of the room in here. My viewers, my visitors, my subscribers, whatever. So, all right. Be blessed. Shalom. Have a great one. Have a good weekend, everybody. Bye for now.